Imagine a soldier who, for 29 years, believed that World War II was still raging, fighting alone in a forgotten jungle. Today, I take you to the dense and mysterious jungle of the Philippines, a boundless green sea that has held an incredible secret for decades. The story of a man whose determination defied time and reason. We are talking about Hiru Onoda Shigishin, a second lieutenant in the Imperial Japanese Army, whose epic resistance is not just a tale of survival, but a testament to the human spirit, to unshakable faith, and perhaps to the greatest and most tragic of misunderstandings. Prepare to discover the solitary life, the refusal to believe in peace, and the moving moment of surrender of this extraordinary soldier. In 1944, as the tide of World War II began to turn against Japan, young Hiru Onoda, an intelligence officer, received a specific order. He was sent to Lubang Island in the Philippines with the mission of waging a guerrilla war against American forces. His commander was very clear: "You will not die voluntarily, you will not take prisoners. It may take 3, 4, or 5 years, but I will come back for you. Until then, as long as you have even one soldier, you must continue to lead him." Onoda took those words literally. His dedication to duty was unwavering, his commitment total. He was not just a soldier, he was the embodiment of an oath. Then in 1945, the whole world breathed a sigh of relief. The atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki ended the most devastating conflict in history. Millions of people celebrated the newfound peace, reconstruction, and return to normality. But for Hiru Onoda and the few soldiers who remained with him on Lubang, the war was not over. For them, it continued. Their world was the dense tropical jungle, their constant enemy was the unknown, and their only faithful companion was time, which flowed inexorably and mockingly. Their personal mission, intact and sacred, was to defend the island, awaiting the return of their commander. Life in the jungle was a parallel reality, disconnected from everything else. First there were 3 of them, then 2, and finally Hiru Onoda found himself alone, a solitary soul in a vast, silent green hell. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, months into years, and then into decades. They fed on wild fruits, rice which they occasionally stole from local villages, and hunted wild animals. Their uniforms wore out, were torn, and were repaired with leaves and fibers, becoming almost part of nature itself. The weapons, though rusty, were kept in working order with almost maniacal care, tangible symbols of a war that refused to end. There was no shortage of attempts to convince them. Planes flew over the jungle, dropping leaflets announcing the end of the war, newspaper articles showing photos of reunited families and rebuilt cities. Even letters and photos of their loved ones were airdropped, a desperate attempt to bring them back to reality. But Onoda and his comrades were trained to regard all this as enemy propaganda, cunning deceptions to make them surrender. Their conviction was deep, ingrained. The war continued, their mission was valid, and surrender would be a dishonorable violation of their code. Every time a leaflet fell among the leaves, their suspicion grew, and with it their determination. The jungle was both their home and their prison, a savage theater where every day was a struggle for survival. They had to avoid Filipino patrols who considered them bandits and with whom they had several firefights. Their movements were furtive, their existence a secret whispered among the trees. Each day was a precarious balance between indomitable courage and silent desperation. Their minds were trapped in a time that no longer existed, their loyalty a burden and an armor. Then, in 1974, the jungle released its most tenacious prisoner. An adventurous Japanese student named Norio Suzuki, obsessed with the legend of Onoda, traveled to Lubang with one goal: to find him. And incredibly, he succeeded. He found Onoda in the jungle, still in his worn uniform, still unyielding, resolute, ready to fight. But Onoda had a condition for his surrender. He would lay down his arms only if he received a direct order from his superior.
Let's move, everybody.
And so, in a moment of rare and profound historical emotion, his former commander, Major Yoshimi Taniguchi, now a bookseller, was tracked down and brought to Lubang. On March 9, 1974, after nearly 30 years of solitary confinement, Hiru Onoda, a man who had devoted his entire youth and manhood to a war long since ended, received the order. With dignity and discipline, he emerged from the jungle, his uniform threadbare, his rifle still working in his hand, a living symbol of a war that no longer existed. It was a monument to the human spirit, to the tragedy of a melancholy and tenacious obstinacy. Onoda handed over his officer's sword to the President of the Philippines and was pardoned for the years of conflict. Hiru Onoda's story is not just a curious historical anecdote, it is a powerful reminder of the strength of the human spirit, of fidelity to duty, and of the profound consequences of war. It questions us about the nature of reality, about perception and tenacity. This soldier forgotten by history who never surrendered left us a precious lesson on devotion, but also on the price of solitude and blind faith. His story still resonates today, an echo from the depths of the jungle, reminding us of the extraordinary human capacity to persist, even when all the world has moved on. If this story of extraordinary tenacity has captivated you, be sure not to miss our next journey through history.